You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
I am Evan Closky.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. Be sure you check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays, as well as all the other traditional podcasting platforms. We are also on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Evan, thank you for joining us, and more importantly, the Rays are 6-0. What is going on here? This is amazeballs.
This is magic. This is all the good vibes I told you about last week when I walked out of the Trop on opening day, and just what I felt in that experience validated. I was asked from a coworker, are the Rays this good or is the competition this bad? And in my opinion, it's both. So I don't want us to forget about the fact that these were the Tigers and the Nationals, and you better take care of business against the Athletics as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention the Red Sox don't look like world beaters either. So we knew entering the season that they had to jump out to a hot start. Now, did we think 6-0 was going to happen? No. But it does give you now a little bit of buffer heading into at least Oakland. I would expect 2 of 3. And then at least the Red Sox, now you can kind of handle a 2 of 4 and not feel bad about it, in my opinion. So, if they were to continue the magical ride all the way to next Thursday, which would be the 13th game, that would make it 13-0. That is the all-time record in Major League history, tied with 2 other teams. Then, we can circle back, and I'll be in the Trop for that one. I can promise you if that's going down. But they're just doing everything correctly. All of our issues watching this team last year haven't surfaced. The horrendous base running, haven't seen it. Outside of Jose Siri going for a triple there because he was feeling nice and spicy. But whatever, I don't in that situation, whatever. The defense has been unbelievable. Remember how bad the defense was to begin last season? In April and May, it was horrific. Home runs, 13. That's a franchise record after 6 games. One of the top marks in all Major League Baseball right now. And top to bottom contributions. The night they scored 10 runs in the explosion there in the 9th inning, Wander Franco and Brandon Lau went 1 for 10 that game.
Yep.
Now, Wander has been exactly the dude who we thought he would be when healthy, and the game changer we thought he would be. And it's a reminder of what the Rays missed by putting Taylor Walls in the lineup every day. And no shade to Taylor Walls, just that's, he's not Wander Franco, and not many are. So when Wander Franco is playing and healthy, he's not going to hit 417 all year, but this is probably a 310, 315 hitter who we think has the ability to hit 20 home runs, steal 30 bags, 40 doubles. I mean, this is he's the 20, 30, 40 guy. And the pitching, outside of Fleming, though Shane didn't look phenomenal in his second outing, but for me, the sign of a true ace is when you don't have your A stuff or your B stuff, you still only give up 2 runs and you figure a way out of it. So to me, that was really impressive from Shane, was the struggles, but also somehow walking away with a quality start from that appearance. So I don't know how you cannot be stoked about the product you're seeing. I don't even care if they would have lost during this stretch. The way they're going about their business, the way that Kevin Cash is managing, and the hustle, the attention to detail, the contributions is just excellent. A+, and they're being rewarded for it in the standings.
Yeah, you talk about all the contrasts from last year, and I'm with you 100% with the base running, the defense, the pitching, the hitting. As a baseball fan, which one has got you most captivated about this team? Is it the starting pitching, what the bullpen is doing, the defense, the base running, like the hitting? What, as a baseball fan, do you like seeing the most right now out of this team on April 7th?
It's the pitching, because as I told you when you asked me, Kevin probably asked it, but what am I more? Actually, no, sorry, it wasn't one of you guys. I was asked on WDAE when I did a hit for them about the Rays, and I was asked, what are you more concerned about? Are you more concerned about the hitting, or are you more confident in the pitching? And I said, I'm more confident in the pitching, because I truly believe that's where this team is going to be set apart. And the early returns were as special as we thought. Now, what they did week one, those first 4 starters, it's not going to replicate itself in the second go around. We already saw that with Shane. So we got to see Eflin, Springsy, who, holy smokes, right in your face there, right in your eye hole there, Kev. But they don't even, I can't explain how lethal that rotation is going to be when Tyler Glasnow is back. Because Tyler Glasnow still, in my opinion, is the best of the crop. And I understand how freaking good Shane McClanahan is. That's how confident I am that when Glasnow comes back, he is going to be pure and utter filth.
Kevin, did you see the latest article by Topkin? I think he did it yesterday, where he mentions a 4-letter word concerning Tyler Glasnow.
4-letter word concerning Tyler Glasnow. No, you have to enlighten me on that.
Mid to late May. So first it was end of April, then it was early May, mid-May, and then yesterday that little 4-letter word came out saying late May. Is this something that we should be concerned about, or should they just be as cautious as they can about the guy who's supposed to be making $5 million this year and then 25 the next?
Let me tell you this. Would you want Tyler Glasnow to be rushed back a little too soon so that you don't have him until August and September? Or would you prefer waiting a little bit longer in May to work him up properly? Because, again, his ramp-up never really happened. It was getting there. I think he was on, his 3rd session. So we're talking about maybe 2 innings worth, and then he got shut down. So he now has to go through a full ramp-up session. And with the oblique, it is such a messy injury. I mentioned it, last week when I came on. Look at JT Chagua last year.
Yeah.
He pitched in a rehab. He did a couple of them, and then bam, oblique injury, out till what did he make? He didn't make an appearance really again until August, end of August. So it's not even a fact that maybe he's more injured. It's just more incorporating, look at these early returns, looking pretty nice. I don't see us stressing right now. Long road ahead. I'm feeling pretty confident with the outlook of the team. Let's get him into some rehab starts, an inning, 2 innings, 4 innings, and let's work up that pitch count. And then maybe at some point he can complete his rehab at the major league level, and maybe, instead of logging 6 innings or so, maybe the Rays can bring him back and have him start for 4 innings, and then pair him up with maybe a Fleming or a Chirinos at that time, or whoever can kind of complete the other bulk injury, the bulk innings, and you can kind of work through it like that. So at least you're getting him, and you're getting, he's getting that major league experience to sort of get ramped up that way versus going through the minors. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But I'm not too concerned right now. I haven't really heard anything that's he's taking a step back. We need to pull back on his throwing program. I just think that overly cautious, and that's the way they should be.
Okay. Yeah, and for the Rays, based on their first month schedule and strength of opponent, that they should be sitting pretty, by early May, and then you have some bleed over time until Glass now returns. I mean, I know Topkin put out a stat that the Rays played 26 of their first 32 games against teams that were 500 or worse last year, including a lot of teams 100 or more games. Coming up on the schedule, you also got the Reds, the White Pirates, but things really start to get a little shaky beginning May 5th, where the Rays would be playing 23 games in 24 days. You have the likes of the Yankees, Orioles, Mets, Brewers, Blue Jays, Dodgers, respectively, and a bunch of games. Not many off days. They'll have a stretch where they play 13 games in a row, and then 52 games across 55 days. So I'll be really curious to see what this team's record is by the end of May, where they're sitting in the standings and across baseball. We have more to discuss with Evan. We also have baseball trivia, Name That War, it being a Friday. But first, we have to tell you about our new sponsor called So Rare. It's a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams, including your Tampa Bay Rays. Unlike other baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. So head over to SoRare/Locked On. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that is SoRare.com/Locked On, LOCKEDON, to start playing today. Evan, first thing, you cheated on us by going to do a radio hit with WDAE. What are you thinking? You have to run that by us. You have to get permission to do things like that. Come on here.
We're in an open relationship.
I didn't. No, I think we have some mixed cross signals, so we're gonna have to.
Oh boy, you caught feelings. I told you not to catch feelings when we started.
What are we? What are we?
We're casual. We are casual.
It's casual. It's a casual thing. We're just having fun, Kevin. We're just having fun.
Polyamorous. Okay. Moving on from that. Not to be the bearer of bad news, but Evan, you mentioned it. Josh Fleming, his slow start and kind of par for the course for him of late. His struggles, I'm curious with what Ulises mentioned about the timetable of Tyler Glass now, how long of a leash does Josh Fleming have? And will there be a point where they just got to say, hey, bud, you have an option. We're sending you to AAA, or we're repurposing how we use you, and you're no longer starter material. You're bullpen 1 inning, 2 inning material.
The problem is when having this discussion, because there's the emotional side, right? That's like, we know exactly what Fleming is. We have seen it in 2020. We have seen it in 2021. Or we've seen it in 2021. We've seen it in 2022. See it now. And I think it's probably a little unfair to say we see it now, but we already have a history of it. And so when you see it as bad as it was, though he mentions that he might have been tipping, we'll give him that, and we'll see if he adjusts in his next start. But the biggest thing you have to realize is when people start wagging their hand and their fist and they say, get him out of here. Who do you want? Who do you want instead of Fleming? Give me an option. You want Patino? Okay, well, Patino walked the farm in his first start with Durham, gave up 2 home runs. His 2 biggest issues since becoming a professional pitcher and trying to stick in the major leagues is that he continues to walk batters in an organization that stresses do not walk people, and he continues to give up homers, which is detrimental to your progress. So he still has those issues outside of the first couple of starts he made in spring training, which were great. he has pretty much been the inconsistent self that we have always seen, at least as far as the Rays are concerned. When you factor in injuries as well, he's still got plenty of life in him. Very young still. He, at worst, he's going to be moved to the bullpen. But we've talked about this before, that you have to at least give this a full go because his stuff is that electric. But he hasn't proven that he deserves the major league start. Yanni is probably above Louis, and then Chirinos went out there the other day and he didn't have a great start.
Yeah.
So you have depth, and all three of your guys stunk their first start. So call it a wash. Let's just ignore it all and let's do this again the second time around. Forget it. It was what it was, and now let's reevaluate and give everyone a second chance as the pretty much however you thought these players were before their first start. They're all pretty much at the same level entering their second start in terms of the organization. We will see if if Fleming doesn't perform well this next start. I'm very curious, and if he gets bombed again, I am very curious to see if the Rays now start going with matchups. Like, we're going to call up Yanni because we're playing this foe, and he is going to square up better than a Josh Fleming. So we'll send Fleming down, and then we'll bring up Yanni, and we'll see if we can do 2 starts from him. And then maybe we bring back Fleming for a lefty lineup, and then see if Patino during that time can figure it out and mix and match up until Glasnow comes back. But I'll stress this to everyone. If we are complaining about a part-time 5th pitcher, the Rays are in a really damn good spot if that is our top complaint. So that's the other thing, is it's part-time. Now, if Glasnow goes down, another starter goes down, we can have these discussions and be like, okie dokie, who is the person who's going to solidify this role long-term? And I think that's maybe my biggest concern, is what happens if one of these people are not part-time and something bad happens. There's a huge gap. There's a huge drop-off between the elite stuff we see 1 through 5 when fully healthy, and then at number 6, 7, and 8.
That's what I'm exactly worried about. And putting it, like last year, if you go from Brandon Lau to having to give those at-bats to Vidal Brujan, or you go from Wander Franco and you have to give those at-bats to Taylor Walls, the drop-off is way too large. That could happen with the rotation this year. Say somebody gets hurt, hopefully not, knock on wood, before Glasnow comes back. Then you have 2 of those guys out, which means you're going to have either Fleming and Yanni and Luis Patino, 2 of those guys stepping up. And then for how long? That's what's worrying about seeing these guys struggle so early in the season. I don't know. I know Tosh Bradley is the new shiny toy of the organization, the number 1 prospect, but I don't think it's the right time still. Yeah. I think he needs a little bit of, June, July cooking, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do, I feel like, is call him up before he's completely ready and prepared for that moment, and he has a bad start. He blows the lid off of it, and his confidence is shot. I mean, did the Rays maybe call up or give opportunities to Luis Patino a little bit too soon? I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation for another day, but I feel like you want to be fully prepared that when Taj Bradley gets the call up, he's there to stay. You're not doing this game of, Josh Lowe and Vidal Brujan, where they get up, they struggle, they have to be sent down and reconfigure how they go about things. So the Josh Fleming issue and debacle is something to monitor going forward. Now, on the flip side of that, I do want to get Evan's take and Ulises, your take on this as well before we move on to baseball trivia and Name That War. Luke Raley just stomping the competition, showing out, left-handed power bat. What? We got him, evidently. I know it's only 6 games, but 3 bombs. He's doing everything that you would expect a guy that is, 6'4", 230 pounds to do. Is he for real, or is this just a product of lowly competition, and there is a long list of guys who've had a great first week and a half, great first couple weeks, and then they fall right back down to earth, and you never really see much of an impact from them going forward. Is he a guy who has staying power, or is just a stopgap, run the hot hand until, Curtis Mead, somebody else is ready?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my thing is he has been hot. His average, I don't think is going to be anything to brag about when we get to the end of the season, but who cares, right? He's not here to dink and doink. He's here to pop the ball out of the yard. So going back to the end of February when we had the very first game, he's been hitting home runs. So if we factor in the what do you play, like 14, 15, 16 some odd spring training games, and then you factor in the 3 or 4 he's played to begin the season, he's got 8 home runs in like 20 some odd games. Like he's been consistent over that stretch. Yeah. So am I thinking he's going to be a 35 homer guy? I don't know, but it's certainly something to be happy about. He certainly, it wasn't one of those situations where great spring fell off immediately, right? He's got confidence. That's the good thing about a lot of this heater out of the gates, is at least there's a foundation of confidence and success for almost all batters, maybe outside of Brandon Lau. Like Lau has maybe been the worst of the bunch. And we know Lau, even at his best, he is streaky. So the Rays haven't even tapped into Brandon Lau's first streaky run, assuming that he's back to full health and he's going to be a similar guy to what we saw before last year. So I don't want people to run to the ticket window and say, sold on Luke Raley. I'm not going that far. But oh my God, I broke my pen.
That's karma for going on that WDAE show.
I smashed this thing. Oh man!
Don't get any of that ink on your shirt.
I got power. Like,
what are you smashing bats in the dugout?
I don't know if that's a good sign. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Regardless of the pen.
Pingate. Get out of here.
Luke, seeing Luke Raley do what he's doing, it's tough not to be super optimistic that he's going to fit the role we thought they needed. And again, it proves, going back to last year, how desperately this lineup needed a guy like that. But in my eyes, in my opinion, I'm not even like, Luke Raley isn't the most encouraged I am out of everyone on the team. Josh Lowe, baby. What he is doing out of the gates here, I think he's batting like .417, obviously limited playing time, but he's generating success after success. He's got a little swagger. I don't know if you saw the interview afterwards with the lotto ticket. Yeah. He's feeling himself a little bit, and it's but this was going back to everything I saw during spring training, that he looks like the guy. He looks comfortable in his skin. And last year, I just felt like hey, we traded Meadows, you're our guy, and it just the grind. It kind of compounded on itself. Then he got hit with the baseball in Baltimore, and that was he's a phenomenal story if he can continue this. But we and the Rays hyped him up greatly before last year. I know, Kevin, you were never really sold on him fully, but this is kind of the 2020 type guy. He's looking like that. I've been really impressed with him, and more so just with how comfortable he looks at the plate.
I'm happy that they're both producing, because they're the ones that have to produce. And by have to, it's because they didn't get any shiny toy. I said this earlier this week. Like, everybody knew, even Josh Lowe and Luke Raley, that the Rays wanted pop from the left-hand side. And they're both lefties that can provide pop. And that name with the big number attached to that to that person didn't come. So it's up to them, and they know this. And knowing this, they're still producing. So it's awesome to see from both of them. To answer your question, Kevin, I'm going to say Mikey Matuk. I'm going to say Joey Butler. I'm going to say Jeff Keppinger.
Legends.
Rays legends. Sam Fold. Okay. Yeah. you can have a limited amount of time where you look like the best player in baseball. There was nobody better in that, I think, July or August than Joey bleeping Butler. Okay? Nobody. Bring me anybody from that year. Nobody was better than Joey Butler. That could be Luke Rayleigh's. This right now could be the Luke Rayleigh month. Hopefully it isn't. Hopefully it can last a little bit longer than that. But I think anybody that is just head over heels after a spring training and 6 games should probably not go to FanDuel.
Yeah.
I would think. That would not be a good thing for those people because the NBA playoffs are almost here, and now it is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. You heard me right, $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, and it's super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association, otherwise known as the NBA.
Yeah, the other thing I want to see going forward is how can Josh Lowe and Luke Rayleigh and others, for instance, but those two in particular, how do they handle some of the best starters and the best rotations in all of baseball? And how do they handle a raucous crowd and road environment? It's one thing to beat up on the Nationals. It's one thing to beat up on the Tigers at home. Can you beat up on the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays on the road? That remains to be seen, and I'm curious to see that going forward.
Yeah, and name me the best pitcher they faced so far.
Chad Kuhl. I don't know.
Eduardo Rodriguez? Like, I mean,
probably.
That's the
probably.
best one? No, that's so. Look,
were they even in the lineup against?
I think they came in late, but maybe not facing Erod. But yeah, exactly. More to Evan's point.
So that's why I say though it's both, because great teams rack them up against crap teams, right?
Yes.
Look, we go back to the AL East winning Rays. What did they do? They smacked around the Orioles for 18-19, and they had those late game comebacks like we saw against the Nationals. So watching that Nationals game unfold, I was like, man, this brings me back to 2 years ago. This was exactly the team that I remember watching and just waiting around, watching these games like, don't count them out, don't count them out, don't count them out. Boom, there they are. And so, you know, I don't want to take anything away. That's why I don't want to move one end of the spectrum being like they faced nobody, and then I don't want to move to the other. Then if people say like, oh, they got no competition, well, it's like, look, just because they're taking care of business, it's not like outside of one game they have smacked these opponents. Okay,
yes,
it has not even been a sweat except for one game. Yeah. One game was a sweat, and they threw out Josh Fleming in that game. So like,
and then it ended up being 4 runs, which has happened in every single victory.
Like they have a plus 31 run differential. Like,
it's insane.
You know, so it's not like they're edging by. They have been fairly dominant in these 6 games. So you know, and not to mention the Tigers went around and they beat the Astros twice. So it's like, you know, last year they beat the Orioles for a sweep and we're like, whatever, the Orioles suck. And then look what they did. It was like, oh man. So who knows what these teams are? I certainly know what the Nationals are. I still don't know what the Tigers are, even though I think we all believe they're going to stink as well. But, you know, I was surprised last year with the Orioles and that got shoved in my face. So, you know, just cautiously optimistic, be happy, and just understand the reality of who they're playing, but also really support this team and freaking live it up right now, because you didn't make the schedule. They didn't make the schedule. They're just lining them up and eating them W's like James.
Yeah. I mean, it sucked to be the Lockdown Nationals host right about now. I mean, if you get 55 wins, that's a victory season for you as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so good points all around there. Just have to love how dynamic this group is and how balanced across the board. Anybody can beat you at any different time thus far. So, and you got the Athletics coming up. And speaking of that, my trivia question relates to the Athletics, and it's not a stadium relocation or attendance question. We're talking dingers, okay? In front of me, I have a list of most career home runs in an Oakland Athletics, or I guess Philadelphia Athletics franchise uniform. I have a list 1 through 10. I want you all to tag team it and give me 5 of those top 10 bombers.
All right, so I'll go McGuire.
That is correct. He is number 1 with 363. How do we want to do this? Is it Ulises' turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Share the wealth. Okay.
Dave Parker.
Dave Parker is not on this list. Strike 1.
Canseco.
First name?
Jose.
Correct. He is number 4 on this list with 254 dingers. A lot of steroids between those two of Canseco and McGuire, just saying.
A lot of them.
So you have 2 of the 5 I need.
Reggie Jackson.
Mr. October, there's a great documentary on him on Amazon Prime. If you have not watched it, also did a great interview with Howard Stern. He is correct, number 3 on this list with 269.
Took that one from me.
I'm still really upset about Dave Parker, though.
He's not in this top 10.
Miguel Tejada.
Miguel Tejada, very good guess. Very good guess, but that would be incorrect. Strike 2.
Oh.
Gotta have another one. I was wondering if I should have done that one first.
So we have McGuire, Reggie Jackson, Jose Canseco.
Can you tell me how many home runs has the number 10 person?
The number 10 person, and I'm just telling you right now, the number 10 person, I don't know who it is, but this individual has 191.
I'm going to just, right? Because, the steroids, though, maybe he did too many.
You might know the number 8 person or the number 6 person. Not the number 10 person on this list.
I'm going to go for it. Am I going to go for it? I think I'm going to go for it. Jason Giambi.
Man, this is a steroid list if I've ever seen one. 198 bombs. Whew. He is number 8 on this list. That is correct. I need one more name. Numero uno.
Oh, my God.
Wait, while Evan thinks, I'm going to just say we've gotten Reggie Jackson. We've gotten McGuire, Canseco, Giambi. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of needles there, boys.
Yeah. It looks kind of, probably it's sort of a microcosm of Oakland or San Francisco, quite frankly. Just needles everywhere.
Yikes.
Yeah. I'm on a roll today, folks. Sorry. No filter. I'm unfiltered. You got Closky breaking pins. He's cheating on us with WDAE.
What do you got?
Evan.
What do you got?
Okay, I'm just gonna give you.
If you guys want to do some sharing and groupthink, I will allow it.
You can. Okay, Evan. What do you think about a third baseman that was really famous during like the early aughts, late '90s? For them, he was a very short glove man. Would he have that much pop? Then he later played for the Yankees for like a year.
What are you talking about?
Evan, will you allow your guess to be taken by Ulises?
Oh, yeah. We'll do Eric Chavez.
Whew. You guys are good. Number 6 on this list.
It's a good
with
one.
230 home runs.
Let's go.
Great. The underrated, if I may say, Eric Chavez. And I don't think any steroid concerns for my quick understanding.
No, my boy Eric is clean.
The Yankees thing honestly threw me off.
Oh, really?
What was that?
The Yankee thing threw him off, but yeah, he's an Oakland great.
You
Eric
should have
Chavez.
said Mets hitting instructor.
Oh well, yeah, that would have been better, maybe. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So very good, boys. McGuire number 1 at 363. Jimmy Fox is number 2 at 302. Reggie Jackson third. Jose Canseco fourth. Bob Johnson, 252, number 5. I don't know. Eric Chavez number 6. The great Al Simmons number 7 at 209. Jason Giambi 198, number 8. Number 9, Sal Bando. I think that was a mobster as well. Anyway, 192 homers.
Pretty sure I bought a cheesecake from him one time.
Most likely, yeah. In Philly. Threw batteries at you. Number 10, Gus Zernial with 191 homers. So there it is.
Gus Bus.
Yeah.
Great job, guys.
And
quite frankly, speaking on that, I don't even know what the Athletics roster looks like. Just probably a decrepit mess. But I don't know if whoever leads the team in home runs gets 20 this year for the Athletics. Like they're just put together by chewing
Scotch tape and
and cheap.
I can't believe Tejada wasn't on there.
Yeah, Tejada's not there. He might be number 11 or 12 for all I know, but yeah. So there it is. Baseball trivia. Ulysses, what do you have in the name of Name That War?
Well, it is April, boys. It's my birthday month, so I wanted to go with somebody that was born on my date, April 15th. And his name, you guys are going to love this one. He also played for Oakland for 19 games. Mr. Milton Bradley. What is Milton Bradley's career WAR according to Baseball Reference?
Milton Bradley, get out of here.
When was the last time you heard that name, by the way?
Milton Bradley also seems like a guy, I'm sure he had a decent, solid career and played for roughly a dozen years. If I had to guess, I think he has that pension. But he comes off to me as a guy who had like a really hot month or two, and then people just went crazy about Milton Bradley, and he fell back down.
Yeah, I feel like maybe he was more like defense-oriented, where he might be able to have some WAR for that. Golly.
Do you want me to go first and then you?
I'm gonna go 11-1.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Milton Bradley, I think he played probably about 10 to 12 years, had like 130 career homers, had a batting average of roughly 270, played for probably 4 or 5 teams. Man, that's a good marker. Because you mentioned the defense, I'll go a step or two higher. 13 WAR is my guess for Mr. Bradley.
Well, very good for you both. I'm going to do the old Kevin Weiss treat. No, I'm not. I'm just going to tell you right away that Milton Bradley's career WAR is 16.9. And you guys were not that far off, because although he had a career OPS of 804, boys, that 16.9 WAR was also heavily weighed by this monstrous year, just disgusting year where he accumulated 5.2 WAR, and I'll give you the slash line. 321 batting average, 436 on base. I'll repeat that for the people in the back. 436 on base with a 563 slug. That's a 999 OPS. Nasty. That's how you spell that. 162 OPS plus. He had 22 home runs. He was an all-star. His only all-star selection in 2008 with the Texas Rangers. That is Milton Bradley.
What's interesting, it sounds like he had one of those Ken Caminiti, Brady Anderson years, that year that he went off. But, I was kind of right on the marker with his career homers and batting average. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that.
125 home runs. You said 130. Very good. And you said 270 average. 271. Very good. Awesome. You got me scared because I was like, does he have it up? What the heck?
I wasn't cheating. This isn't high school.
Ridiculous. But no, very, very good trivia and very good Name That War, fellas. Very good job.
And he played for, a few more teams than I anticipated, but I knew he played for at least like 5 teams. So
yeah, he jumped around.
Yeah. And not the most famous Milton Bradley either.
No, he is
the
not.
game pioneer was.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Yeah.
All right, Evan, when you're not cheating on us with WDE, I'm going to mention it again. The evil geniuses
Salty.
at Clear Channel.
Salt sticks.
Yeah, really salty. They have a new studio too, by the way.
Nice. Haven't been
anyway,
there, but it looks nice.
Yeah. So where can people find your work and interact with you?
Hit us up on 1010bay.com. We, not just Rays, but Buccaneers, Lightning. The playoffs are beginning in a couple of weeks. Though the Bolts are getting injured left and right at the worst possible time. So that's awesome as they prepare for the Maple Leafs. But you can also check me out on Twitter at Closky, WTSP, on Instagram at Closky. Interact with me, say what's up, ask me questions. I will answer 99% of the time, as long as that 1% you are not a jerk. So
very well said.
Are you covering the USF football spring game?
Yes, next Friday. We will be heading out to USF and check on Alex Golish and the boys, see how they're doing over there at Corbett Stadium.
Do they win more games in their 2023 season than the Rays have won thus far? Or as many?
No.
Okay.
They're not winning 6 games, but they'll be a more entertaining product. I really do like Alex Golish, and you gotta give a guy time to get his dudes.
Can we just get like a good USF team? Like I know we had that basketball team. Was it when we were in sophomore year? Remember that, Kevin?
Yeah, I remember. I was calling those games for the student radio station. They were playing at the old, now it's Amalie Arena, but the Tampa Bay Times Forum. All they did was hold the ball for 30 seconds, then jacked up threes and played suffocating defense, and they won games 49.
That's how Virginia does it.
I mean, that was a fun year. But then after that, we really have never had really good football teams or any other basketball teams that, so that sucks.
Yeah, it's the Judy Ginshaft curse. What can you say?
Sometimes you get Genshafted. That's really it. Yeah.
I trademarked that phrase, by the way. All right. Thank you, Evan. We appreciate it. The Rays are off and roaring 162-0. I know it seems unlikely, but I think it could happen. Getting more and more confident about it.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but people are talking.
Yeah, people are talking. Yeah.
If there was a year to do it, it would be this year.
Why not us?
Why not us?
Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.